Okay. We are here. We did it finally after 4 weeks of striking out. You're listening to Drinking Coffee While Talking Coffee, Talking Coffee While Drinking Coffee with Jordan Brown. And Bonnie Williams is here with us finally.
We made it.
We made
coordinated.
it. What people don't realize is that literally probably the first person I called, I think, when I was doing it, I was like, went down my list on my phone of everybody, and like you were on that top of that
B,
list.
Yeah,
A,
B,
B, Bonnie right there. And then it's so funny because got sick, car broke down.
Yeah.
What else happened? A ton of stuff happened.
Yeah.
Just
Trying
disastrous.
to coordinate.
Yeah, babies, the whole thing.
Have them looked after.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but we're finally here. We did it. It's awesome. Super, super excited. Okay, so we're going to jump into it. We'll introduce you to who you are, what you do, what you own, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So awesome. I'm so, first of all, so stoked. But we'll get into our history and everything too. So introduce yourself to the people if they don't know you already.
Okay, I'm Bonnie. I am the owner of Vacancy Coffee here in Newport Beach. We've been open actually 5 years this Friday. It's our birthday. So
It's really a 5 years?
yeah,
5 years already. Wow.
Yeah.
So that is...
Time flies.
I don't know how long we've actually been working together.
Probably 4. Or
Yeah, I was going to say probably shortly after you opened.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so you're in Newport Beach, and everything about like the cliche aspect of Newport Beach, if you look at it from people from out of town, like we're just talking to one of your awesome baristas who's from Omaha, but if you think Newport, like your shop is actually like the epitome of Newport Beach. Like you're on PCH, you can see the water and from your shop. Like
that's it.
So obviously from the accent they can tell you're not from here.
I know, I'm a transplant.
You can't have that. So
yeah.
I was thinking as I was prepping for this, I've never asked you any of these questions.
Okay.
Like, how the heck did you even get here? I don't even know. I don't even know how long you've been here. I don't know anything about this. So like, where's your journey from Australia to here? Like, how did that happen? I don't even know.
Well, we've been here, and by we, my husband and I, relocated about 6.5 years ago, probably now, and just quite literally had one of those moments where we had an opportunity to get a visa and move, which, you know, if you're from Australia and you can come by a visa to the US, you do it. It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we I'd never even been here actually.
Really?
Like never. I'd been to Hawaii, but I'd never been to mainland.
So you moved here without ever visiting the mainland of
packed
America?
all our stuff, put it in storage. I was an elementary school teacher, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That fits.
Yeah, 4th grade, 5th grade.
Wow.
And so it was my husband definitely spearheading it. I was like pretty happy with our life back in Australia, but being a teacher, I could go on leave and just pick up and go, and my job was waiting for me when I got back. So I was kind of like, okay, I don't.
Are the breaks longer there? Like, I don't know how it works. Like in Australia, when teaching, do you have like longer summers or anything like that?
How could there possibly be a longer break than what you guys have?
Oh, I guess that's. I don't know. Like, you know how France is. France doesn't work for half the year, so I didn't know if there's something different. But you're saying like.
Yeah, no. I mean, Australians are pretty good at balancing out like work and play. Better than Americans, I would say.
Yeah.
You guys work
most people are
24/7.
Yeah.
But no, we have less breaks actually.
Okay.
Our big one is over Christmas, which is in the summer, and it's 6 weeks. That's the longest one.
Okay, that's where ours is 2. So yes, that's a little bit low. But I was saying, you're saying with you as being a teacher, it's like if you left for 3 years, credential-wise, you could come back and still pick up, right?
Literally like walk back into my same job.
Dang,
three
awesome.
3 years is exactly how long they held my job for.
That is awesome. So you came over here and obviously
came over here. I was like, we'll come for a year. But I mean, we could have gone anywhere in the US, but we're definitely beach people.
Okay.
And so we thought, okay, we're either going to be East Coast or West Coast. We didn't want to be anywhere too cold. We're like, let's just, we'd seen the OC as teenagers.
Everyone, I'm telling you, like that, in this specific spot of like driving down here is definitely when you blast the theme music to that. Yeah. Me and my wife have literally done that multiple times on the street. Yeah, so I'm all for it. I totally get it. So
it was honestly like a reference point kind of thing. We're like, okay, that makes sense to us. We feel like, that's could be our kind of place. So, but we just thought, let's move there, and if we don't like it, we'll relocate and go somewhere else. And
that you guys are both entrepreneurs, obviously, like your husband having his tequila brand and everything that he's doing as well. For you, when you got here, did you know coffee right away? Because was it his career that brought you guys here?
He was in like the surf industry.
Okay.
He was in like kind of sales, so now he's doing that, but like in the liquor space.
Yeah.
It's funny though, I would never have called us entrepreneurs, but I guess just saying yes and moving here out of the blue, like it became so much easier to say yes to more things as they cropped up. If that makes sense, because it was kind of like, well, we're here, like we're doing something out of the box, so why not? Like let's just let's do it. And if it doesn't work, it's kind of nice knowing at any point you can, pull the ripcord and we just move back to Australia.
Yeah,
like,
we've got
a
your
great
whole
life back
family's there. Like everyone is still there.
Everyone.
So when you first got here though, like how long did it take? So if you were here 6 years ago, 5-year anniversary of this, what was the plan where you're like, I should do a coffee shop? How did that even happen?
So this spot here, my husband surfs.
Yeah.
And so we would go to the beach over here, like river jetties, he would surf.
They're literally across the street from the water.
Yeah, right
People
across.
walk across with their boards. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And so he'd go surfing and I love the beach too. So I'd be going to the beach with him. And like back home, it's very much, you grab a coffee. Like that's very much a part of like the ritual. And I wouldn't want to come here because I'd be like, well, there's no like good coffee spot by that beach. Like, at that point, there wasn't really a good coffee spot by anywhere.
Yeah.
Like back 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And we would go past this building though and said, if there was ever a vacancy in that building, that's the perfect spot.
Is that how we got the name?
Yeah, that's how we got the name.
This is like the break. This is so good. Yes, okay, so that's awesome.
So like that would be the perfect spot. Like why? Because back home, like by the beach, there's so like dozens of shops
really? Is
all
that like
close together and they all like pump and do really well. Like,
and cater to surfers and that crowd. Okay.
Yeah, and just that active outdoor kind of,
Yeah.
And so then a friend of ours, it turned out, we were talking and he said, oh, well, I actually know the person who owns that building. I agree. Like I've always thought a coffee shop would be great there.
Yeah.
So we approached him. He like had the whole building, but wasn't really utilizing this end of it. And we were like, well, what would you say carving off, a third of the building for us?
Did you do coffee before this though? Or was that your first jump in?
No, we didn't. So my mum and dad owned coffee shops. So
I grew up. This is so great, Bonnie. I can't believe we have this crazy long conversations. You grew up in like hanging out in coffee shops?
Oh yeah, I'd be doing my thing on the weekend and I'd get a call from mum being like, it's busy, we need you down here on dishes.
That is so dope.
So it'd be such, I loved it when I got older, I'd be riding my push bike around and come in with all my friends and there wouldn't be a table, it'd be too busy, it'd be like, okay, here's your lunch and your coffees, go eat it in the park.
What do your parents think, like the fact, is it cool for them to see that you're actually, like you and your son in here?
Yeah.
Like, is it cool?
Well, it's kind of funny because I never, it was my husband initially who was really into doing this.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, no, because I know what it's like. I grew up with parents who owned their own hospitality businesses and I know the nightmare of like anything going wrong at any time and you're beholden to this, store that you need to disaster management, So I remember we were on a hike in Laguna and I said, if you want to do it, I'll support you like 150%.
That's so funny.
It will be your baby.
Which
kind of thing.
I will be 100% honest with you. I don't even think I've ever met your husband.
I think you've met him once.
Yeah, at an event.
I think you met
at an event I met him. But I'm saying here, I've never seen him, which is so ironic. This is you.
Well, in the early days, he was here behind the counter. I mean, we were in here swinging hammers, getting it fit out, which
I'm just thinking it's ironic that like the fact that you said that to him and it's like the exact opposite.
I know. And it was about, I think maybe, because the process takes a little bit of time to get a coffee shop open, even when it's just a super simple model. But
especially here in Orange County and LA.
Exactly. We found that out. But I think, we thought, 6 months we can have the door open. Yeah. But I think it ended up being more like 10 months, which is
that's not bad.
It's pretty good, really.
I'm dealing with way longer with other shops.
Yeah, but at some point halfway through, I was doing bits and pieces and then I started doing more and more and then the tequila stuff started taking off. Yeah. So it was kind of like, catch Bonnie. Like,
so go ahead, Bonnie, push for it.
It just got to it was just an unspoken point where it was like, okay, this is me now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And you were okay with that though?
By then I was. They kind of tricked me into it, I think. Yeah.
So when you say you always talk about your husband and there's another friend, right? Mitch, and he's kind of pushed you guys to kind of keep going.
And he's Lost Sundays as well.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's kind of just a group of friends that are doing it. That's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love the name. That name aspect of it is always such a big thing, and it's sometimes it means nothing. I have shops that are like, I was laying in bed and I just came up with it and thing, and other people have this real strong story, but that's huge. Like you guys being Vacancy Coffee and that was your thing. That's really cool. You can kind of relay back to that.
Because as I said, we didn't come here saying, oh, we want to go and open a coffee shop. It was this spot that we had an attachment to, like this exact location. So unless this had worked out, I don't think it's something that we ever would have really done. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you think like,
vacancy is like the fact that there was a vacancy here that's why we did it.
So do you think if this place was you made that call and like, oh, Jamba Juice is going in there already, do you think that you would have even been in coffee? Do you feel like it was like,
maybe not?
That's
maybe
crazy.
Not.
So this was like destined to be here in Vacancy. Yeah. So
the name's really special.
That is so awesome. Okay, so you guys go from 5 years ago. I can't believe it's 5. I mean, it's 2 days from now. It'll be 5 years.
Nuts.
So that's awesome. So
I forgot until Hannah reminded me. So.
That's really good if you have a good
Yeah.
staff. I always feel like the tough part when it comes to smaller shops such as yourself from a square foot, you did an amazing job with your outside area, inside area, and you can see everything on Instagram, and your branding is on point. But there is an aspect where Bonnie is the face of vacancy. Do you ever feel like, was that tough for you to relinquish any of that? I remember early on when you got pregnant, it was like, and of course, people who don't know, my wife and you had pregnancy at the same time, same doctor,
OB,
same OB, the whole thing. So we were always kind of going back and forth with our stories. But I feel like your shop it's Bonnie, right? Personality wise. And you have awesome baristas that have kind of taken the hands of it. But early on, that wasn't always the case. Like, when did you feel real comfortable knowing that, like, okay, I can step back and kind of do my thing, like outside of the shop? Was that hard for you at all? Was there a struggle?
A little bit. I mean, obviously it's funny too, because the first period when we opened, we didn't know if it was going to work out. We just did a super simple fit out because we thought, we'll do the first year, and if it's not viable, we can lock the door.
Yeah.
And, we haven't lost much kind of thing. And so that first year, I still worked another full-time job, I nannied full-time.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
So yeah, it would be getting up at 5 a.m., coming here till noon or 1 o'clock.
Oh, so while the shop was open,
school.
Then also nannying.
Yes.
Not when I first got to America. No, it was
no. While the shop was still open.
Okay.
So yeah, it was the day started at 5 a.m., finished at, 7 p.m. It
Wow.
was not much fun. So, and then there was a period where, things were okay, this is doing well. This is going to, float itself kind of thing. So that's when I was able to step away from doing that. And so in the beginning, I was definitely here constantly, but not, I was probably even here, became the face of it more the second and third year when
so
I
it
was
wasn't
able to just do this,
Okay, so it wasn't from the beginning, Bonnie, every morning at 4 a.m. so it wasn't it was more in the beginning transitioning.
Well, it was kind of me. I was here every day, but it was also my husband. It was also me. It was kind of a group effort.
Okay.
And then, it was me, and definitely then when, we knew that we wanted to start a family and all of those things. But you've already alluded to my staff that are just incredible.
It was I remember being in here and watching and us just having because our conversations are in between customers coming in and just the calmness of your staff as a whole. It was always really cool to kind of see the effort that they put in and how it's almost effortless of the customer service and things like that.
And I think, did I not have the incredible staff that I have, I would have found it really, really hard to step away.
Sure,
but they're just I just know that it's in such good hands.
Yeah,
so
that's really
cool.
And
we text every single day pretty much. We're in constant contact, and I'm in here mostly every day, whether it's during open hours or after hours or whenever. So I'm still around a lot, but certainly I just know they've got it handled. And, I worked with them for so long, so we know each other so well. I know how they operate, I'm just...
So how do you do that, though, for people what's so cool about this show that we're putting in place? It's for consumers of coffee, for business owners, for everyone who's just a fan of it all around the board, right? So it's when we talk about drinking coffee, talking coffee, it's kind of the whole thing, right? So for you, when it comes to picking staff, was there how do you do that and find the right person? Because especially when it's these are your keys, right? And I know other shops that have had, it's easy for some owners who are behind the scenes and have other people pushing out, where that's, that person doesn't own the shop, but they think they do, you know what I mean? Or a customer thinks that the barista owns the shop, and I'm just a manager, right?
Yeah.
So for you, how are you able to navigate that, to pick the staff that you have? Because you have a small staff.
We do. We've got 7 at the moment, I think.
Okay, so how are you able to put trust in people and filter those people out? I don't see you as a judgmental person, so I don't know how you
it definitely comes down to I think in terms of you can teach any skills in terms of the execution of what you do behind the espresso machine, but you can't teach or instill that work ethic or the trustworthiness or, some of those different characteristics that are really important. So we definitely kind of go by, and it's important to me, the girls that I have managing the store now, they need to be on board, what do you think of them? Did you, get a good vibe from them?
Yeah, so you have the co-sign from your team.
To see that we're all kind of on the same page. But if I feel like you can pick up pretty quickly from someone.
Do you like people with no experience, or like, what is that? I mean, like, and that's always a big debate.
No experience is better
that's
than
what I keep
bad
hearing.
experience. Yeah, because sometimes it's harder to, unlearn some bad habits that they might have picked up in a different environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a deal breaker to have no experience. Let's put it that way.
I've heard people that you work at a shop and you don't want to bring that mentality into the shop. And it's not a diss to the shop. It's just a diss to the person only thinking there's one way to do something.
Exactly.
Right. So it's kind of sometimes dangerous. Like most people I talk to in the industry will say 70% of the time, like, oh no, I want someone who's not been in coffee.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have someone who's never been in coffee to come in here. I don't want you to have worked down the shop down the street. None of that. Right.
Yeah.
That's funny but your staff is also able to kind of co-sign that out.
Yeah,
which is
if
great.
you can come in and you're, a hard worker and you're friendly and you care about that connection with people, that's what's most important to me.
Yeah, how long did it take you to Newport is interesting. And I'm work with everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I'm San Diego to Santa Barbara. So I Newport is an interesting group because there is, look, I'll say it and I can say it. Laguna is freaking weird. Go. Like I love Laguna, but Laguna as a culture, it's weird. It's just weird.
Okay,
Newport's not.
We actually lived there when we first.
There you go.
First moved. Yeah.
So I don't know if you picked up on that, but for me, I feel like Laguna has this very like third generation person living in Laguna that has a very specific way of doing things. And I have a lot of shops that are opening in Laguna and are open in Laguna. I have some of my best customers are in Laguna right now. But Newport is a different type of feel, touristy, but also a little bit more humility behind it. Did you find like any difficulty adjusting to like the Newport culture as far as like what customers want? We always talk about this where it's like customers in general are opinionated no matter where you're from, but like you're in a spot where Huntington's kind of got more of its ruggedness to it. Then you get into like Newport and you have that stretch where there's nothing, and then it's you from a shop standpoint, and you kind of kick off the Newport shops from PCH. I mean, if you go down now we have tons more down the way, but you're the one. It's if I don't go here, there's other options down, but it's a little bit further. So for you, where's that balance of like this is our culture versus the culture of the city you're in? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like there's a balance there? Like, how do you navigate that?
See, I think we're in a really special little pocket where we are right here.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, if you come to the shop, so Jordan's already mentioned we're opposite the beach, which we can, if there was a few houses out of the way there, we'd have a beautiful ocean.
Yeah, you're very close to it. Just gotta knock some of these big houses down.
Yeah, knock some of these mansions down. But we're right in front of a little community called Newport Shores.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. It's like going back in time a few decades. Kids play out on the street. Everyone knows everyone. They have, they have little events for Halloween and Thanksgiving, and they've got like a clubhouse with a pool that they have events there, and everyone knows everyone. It's really cool. And I don't know many places that have a little spot like that. So we are in Newport, but we're almost our own little micro.
You totally are.
Suburb here.
Because behind you, across the street is houses, and behind you are all houses. So it's like, so do you feel like this community itself, it wasn't hard for you to be accepted into it? And honestly,
people like, it was so funny, doing the fit out. Like we met so many people before we even opened, and people were pumped that there was, a kind of third wave coffee shop option coming in.
Yeah.
And I still remember our first ever customer on our first ever day open. So we'd just opened the door. It'd been open for maybe 5 minutes, and we're nervously, who's going to come in and what's going to happen? And this guy's walking his big dog, and he walks past, he's on his phone. And he walked half past the door and then kind of looked and saw and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to call you back."
That's so awesome. It's like it's arrived, right? Like the culture, the community's like, okay, we're here now.
And he just walked in. He was like, it was Christmas Day.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
I think anyone we bring, I mean, we just had the Tash people, right? They're from Brooklyn, and they were here. We were talking with you about some stuff, and she kept raving about it. And for me, I get numb to what a shop is because I'm in so many.
You're here all the time.
You're
around
it.
Yeah,
so she's like, I can't get over the pat. Like Roxanne, talking about it. And I was like,
so sweet.
I was like, in my mind, it's like, it's Bonnie's spot. Like it's fun. Like I know it. But she was, and I realized that like you have a really awesome pocket here that you can't duplicate this somewhere else. Like if you put a vacancy number 2, it wouldn't work the same way for what you. It wouldn't be.
No, you just couldn't replicate.
Yeah, it's weird. And I've had people tell me that in the past. I remember one of the general managers for Daydream, Jason, told me that once, where he was like, you can't always put a shop, like you couldn't put vacancy in Long Beach. It wouldn't be accepted the same way. You could do it, but you have to understand the culture of that community. And it seems like your shop matches the community, right?
It does.
So and then you feel like that was effortless though to be able to do it? It was just kind of natural progression into that?
We had when I think back to the day we first opened, I would say that we had no idea what we were doing. But what we did know is our kind of mission statement and what we wanted to do. And that was we at that point, I feel like there weren't many third wave coffee spots at all here. The ones that did exist were quite
they were very hipster.
Yeah,
I'm saying that very
nicely. And it was
nicely,
depending on what you ordered, you're kind of like, it was just a bit of attitude.
No, it's true. My wife could not walk into half of these shops 5 years ago. She wasn't accepted.
And I just don't think that's what coffee's about, you know.
Not at all, yeah.
So, and especially in our location here, we're opposite the beach. It's, and where we're from, it's like bare feet, coming in your swimwear, it's just very casual, but the coffee's incredible. So, that's what we wanted to do. And in this community here, they're so laid back, like beach going people, just super friendly. And we just wanted people to come in, feel really welcome. So awesome. We wanted it to be that, we get to know everyone's name, and be a community shop for our little community here.
So
but
awesome.
Have the coffee be incredible at the same time. So, and from the feedback that I get all the time, I really feel like we've done that. So,
I think you have. Just from the outside looking in, I know what I'm getting from a culture standpoint here at Vacancy. I know what the staff's bringing to the table.
Yeah.
I know what everyone around us is like, the customers. I know what we're going to get. And I think, the tourists, when they stay here, I'm sure that must be amazing too, right?
Yeah,
it's like picking up on this amazing atmosphere that you have. And look, we're in a weird spot here in Orange County. Costa Mesa is the mecca of coffee right now. Every shop, top shops are all there. It's Newport grows every day. It's so funny to think Lido wasn't Lido's
didn't
an area.
exist.
It wasn't here.
Yeah.
It's now it's like a whole thing. So so let me ask you, kind of transitioning into motherhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my wife starts rattling off these questions last time. I'm like, those are pretty good questions. She's prepping me.
Let me get a pen.
Yeah, I was like, geez, babe. But she was really trying to open up the mindset of this is what's so interesting. Probably when I got into coffee 6 years ago, probably right when you first got here. So the women representation in coffee was this hidden thing that didn't really exist. There's no women baristas at latte art competitions. I swear
it's weird, isn't it?
It's weird because all my customers are all women-owned businesses now. I Neat Coffee, Coffee Dose, you. I feel like everywhere I go, Coffee Drunk in Long Beach, it's Portfolio in Long Beach. I'm forgetting multiple, but it's like girls run this industry right now, So it's a weird thing. But for you, barista from the barista standpoint, it's very male-driven. But now you being... Your staff has amazing women who work here. You've had men as well.
We actually we're very much, it's not deliberate, I assure you.
No, because you've had guys in the past,
But I think we've only had 3. So, but I don't know why it is, but we always just end up with amazing women behind the bar, which is,
it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's great. We've got a great team.
So for you, from a mother standpoint, you have 2 babies. One's the most important, obviously, is your son. But how do you explain to somebody you were...
I definitely refer to Vacancy as my first baby.
First baby, okay. Yeah. You were 9 months pregnant behind bar.
Yeah, I were. Well, yeah, I think
I remember thinking this is getting out of hand a little bit.
On the Saturday, and he was born on the Monday.
There you go.
And I remember, I still remember being in. I went into labour at maybe 3 a.m. or something. But yeah, I got up and it was 7 a.m. and I'm bouncing on the ball and in between contractions writing down notes for Oliver, my husband. Gosh. I was like, you need to take, I think this is happening. So I need you to take this to the girls and they need this and that. So yeah,
what is that? How do you navigate both? And we know those rough days, right? We know the rough days where your son might be acting crazy. I remember a couple months ago, you sending me a text where it's I think we had a meeting or something, and you're like, it was delivery. I'm closing early. there's a crazy guy in our shop. Like I'm like, like how do you balance those terrible moments with that, and also my son's not sleeping? Like how does that? And people, we don't understand that. Like I tell everyone all the time with business owners. I tell my reps this specifically. They're not emailing back. I'm like, are you kidding? Who are you to them? Babies, husbands, wives, whatever. It's like, taxes, tickets, laundry. Like you're the least of their mind, but also very important. So my question to you is like, how do you balance all of that and keep a level head? Is there any tips there?
I feel like I'm excelling in one and failing in the other. Like
it flips all the time. You feel like it's like one's getting
and you need to just give your attention to what you need to give your attention to, whatever spot fire needs to be put out most urgently.
How do you motivate yourself in that though? Because some people get defeated. Have you had breaking moments?
I've had, that moment you referred to when I was texting you. I'm here with my son in like a baby carrier. I have a crazy person like being threatening and yelling, and I'm, you have those moments that you just think, it's hard enough as it is. There's enough going on in the world. I'm stretched enough as it is. And then here, let's add another thing. But that's just life, isn't it?
Yeah, so it seems like you just kind of roll with it.
I roll with it. My son is a terrible night sleeper, but he naps like a champ.
That's pretty
awesome. That allows me. And the team I have here. Like
if I
did not have them, they're incredible. And, I know at any time if, they could do something for me here at the shop and then come and look after my child after.
That's so awesome. It's
I feel, and I'm from Australia. I don't have any family here, not even one family member. So, they're my...
That's your family.
They're my support.
Yeah. I remember, our relationship obviously is... Shoreline Supply supplies Vacancy with all of their products. And we met a long time ago. I was working for another distribution company, and that was kind of our first kind of relationship. I remember our crazy, the Oatly stuff, and just when we first met, it was oat milk wars, right?
Where we were the first shop in Orange County to have oat milk.
There you go. I remember that. That was a huge deal. And I remember when I used to bring someone would drop a case and I'd be like...
I remember one because I was at John, because it was so funny because people are coming in here, like we felt like drug dealers.
Yeah.
People were like,
it
where's
was bad,
that oat milk? I need that.
Yeah, and the perspective at the time when we were working when we first launched Oatly in the Southern California market, there was a time when they couldn't keep up with demand. I'm just putting in perspective everyone else. I think my company at the time that I was working for lost $36,000 a month in product that we could have sold if we had it. Wow. So just empty orders going out, right? So there's just money that we couldn't get because it wasn't here. So this has now got everyone hooked on this drug of oat milk.
And people, it wasn't even like, I prefer oat milk. It was people would come in, you don't have oat milk, they leave. They'd leave. They didn't even want almond milk instead of it. It was like, I want oat milk.
So my life from, we've
got the pressure on us at our level. Then we're putting the pressure on you. But I do remember that day you turned up and popped your trunk and you had all these mismatched bottles that had like fallen out of pallets, but they were perfectly good, but a bit banged up on the out, and it was liquid gold.
Yeah, they would. If a driver,
that's when you won my loyalty. For
I remember.
Life.
I remember thinking like I remember my garage. So what people would. Like a driver would drop one and the case would break. So it was perfectly fine, but it just, you couldn't deliver it. It looked terrible, right? So I remember my garage was like, I had a bunch of them in there. Yeah, I was like, and I remember like from my homies that were like super, super close to me, I was like, no, I'm going to take care of them. Yeah. Man, those are crazy days. But
hilarious.
But if you think back at like the oat milk wars and where we first started, I remember you were always the easiest person. This is why I love working with you. You'll tell me no in the sweetest way possible, which I love because I've always told you it's okay.
Yeah.
But you're open to hearing the discussion, right?
Yeah.
But how do you with like implementing products? Except one time when I told you that when someone told me like, Vacancy coffee was
like a ball buster.
I was like, she's pregnant. She might have had a rough day.
She was I know. It depends what day you catch.
I was like, that's not Bonnie.
I don't beat around the bush sometimes.
Yeah, one time somebody was trying to sell something to Bonnie, and they're like, I don't go into Vacancy. She was really. I'm like, Bonnie was
I think they said I was mean.
Yeah, I was like mean. I've never heard anyone say that. Yeah, but so how do you like implement stuff? I'm saying it more from a shop perspective. So now you have your culture. You know what your community likes. You know what your staff want to stand behind. So for you, when it comes to new products being pitched to you, how do you navigate that?
Well, there's definitely been times where I've thought like, oh no, like people won't want that or that, and I've been totally proven wrong. So times when I thought, I don't think that's for our customer, or I think the price point's way too high or this or that. But okay, like let's give it a go, and then it's been so popular. Now I try and be a bit more open-minded and think, okay, just because it's maybe not like, don't think about Bonnie here. Don't think about don't think that you can predict what everyone
Yeah,
is
I mean,
after.
I think from a selling standpoint, I tell people, like, when I let someone try it, like, I don't like it. It's like, okay, like, it doesn't matter what you like. It's like, does your customer like it? You know, I don't like a lot of the stuff I sold. You know, I mean, I did the taste test yesterday of a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, dude, I don't like any of this. But I'm like, I don't know if the customer might. I have to go find out.
We've all got different palates.
Yeah, and each customer is different. You know, so for you, you're giving more of a shot to stuff. But obviously,
I like to give things a go, and you know, if it seemed,
But your culture is very health focused. Like, that
is one thing that we're pretty like, we know we have a certain quality standard of thing in here. So, and we don't want things with, you know,
tons of sugar
or additives or this, that, or the other. So that does play into it for sure.
Nothing's easier for me once I figure out where the shop's at.
Then you know what to pitch to me.
It's
and
like,
I think this is something Bonnie would be into.
You see me once a quarter because I know, like, I'm not going to bring all this stuff in. It doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
So let's talk about, I have to talk about the Australian takeover. It's unbelievable with everyone from Australia taking over coffee in Southern California. It is one of the most unique things ever. What is it about Australian culture and coffee? Like, I don't.
Just obsessed,
And it's such a big deal.
It really is a cultural thing. It's and I mean, I think it probably that was born from, you know, Italian immigrants in Australia, so we probably can't even really claim that.
I just never knew, because like you know, Danny's shooting our thing right now, and he's from Miami, but he's Cuban, so I know Cubans, coffee, I know Colombians, I know Italians, like you mentioned, but Australians, I had no idea. But like, culture of coffee in Australia, what is it like? Like, what is it?
Well,
why is this a big staple?
The biggest shock for me coming here, just looking at people's coffee habits and the way that they, you know, their rituals around it, is that a lot of people are perfectly happy to just have coffee at their house here, where I would, and you know, it's drip coffee, like percolated coffee kind of thing, which doesn't really exist in Australia.
So home brewing isn't a big thing?
No, well, I mean, people will do like a French press.
But not like...
I mean, nowadays there's more like Nespresso machines.
Nespresso's
the other. But like, you know, for generally speaking, it's... people... And even if you go out to a coffee shop in Australia, like, we don't do drip coffee. We kind of are starting to now because it's become a trendy sort of...
So if I asked for a coffee, it would be espresso? Or
it would be a long black or an Americano.
Yeah.
But it would be a long black because our cups are smaller.
That's so fun.
But it's all about, it's the ritual of going out to get coffee. So
it's a culture of community with the coffee more than just the
connection. It's the going out of your house, being active, like walking, the social thing of meeting up with people, or your routine that you do on the way to work, or whatever it might be. But it really is about like going out into your community to get your cup of coffee.
That's really cool.
I mean, not for everyone, but just like
the culture as a whole.
Yeah, as a general, like more people than not. It's venturing out into your community. And
I feel like we're seeing a little bit more of that. I don't know if you ever pull like your reports out to see if like customer base is it more reoccurring than new. I'm sure yours is reoccurring, but
ours is repeat.
I'm sure. So, and it's funny because I talked to a couple other shops in the area, and they're seeing way more of new. And I think actually, I just talked to someone, they said it was a 50-50 split. And I'm like, I think I know why, because the crawls, right? I mean, even my son, like I have a Stone's Coffee on Instagram, right? Because the crawls are like, let's go to this shop today. Let's go to this shop. Like you kind of just want to go see new shops. Yours, again, is a unique situation because of the community you're in. But yeah, I wonder if that's kind of trickling down a little bit. That's really cool because I feel like Orange County and Southern California coffee is going more to like, let's go grab coffee, especially with COVID when restaurants are kind of getting weird.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, and obviously COVID was a unique time and we didn't know what our customer flow was going to be like during that time. But I mean, we pretty quickly discovered that, we fared really well.
You were in the right spot for it.
Right spot, right location as well. I think that helped. But as you said, people weren't going to restaurants. They weren't going anywhere. The only place they could go was out for a coffee in the morning or, you know.
I hate talking about COVID, but I think it was such a big, I mean, obviously it's a big aspect of all of our lives. But
that's right.
Your guys' shop, did you feel any pressure with COVID I don't think you ever shut down, right? I mean, I jumped in.
We didn't. No. More recently we had to close for
that's
2 days.
Yeah, but during the peak though.
During the peak the whole time, no, we stayed open the whole entire time, which was very fortunate. I mean, we never got mandated to close and, you know, we felt like we were able to operate safely. So
I'm sure the community
we're lucky
even
too.
Appreciate it.
It's like we're a pretty
You're
open
basically outside.
shop. Yeah, exactly. We open both doors. We get a big cross breeze opposite the beach. So we were, we didn't realize, but we were set ourselves up well for a pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it's the beach feel to it. This was kind of the escape for most people. Like, we can go on the beach, we can kind of social distance.
So many people were having social meetups at the beach.
That's so
and
cool.
Yeah.
And so with the, I want to trickle back to the Australia, because we know so many people. I mean, one of my reps, Maddie Ireland, she worked for us in LA. She's from Australia too.
Yeah.
And so sounds just so crazy to me, because every Australian I ever have a coffee with always asks for a flat white. What is that, like a thing too? I know, I'm like so fascinated by it.
When the cup sizes here generally, not
what's the
not
difference?
in third world.
Yeah, what's the difference out there?
It's like America.
Oh,
everything's
yeah,
bigger. And then when you're dealing with a coffee, it's like you're getting a gallon.
So how many ounces are you getting out there?
Most places will have a 6, an 8, and a 10.
Jeez, okay,
yeah,
so
a 10's. I mean, and it's different places
No,
are
but
different.
still, I mean, ours are.
That's kind of the standard.
Yeah. We
Whereas
push for
I remember
8, 10,
here,
12,
that was one thing I was like, absolutely
good.
Not willing to budge on. I was like, we are not having any cup bigger than a 12 ounce. Like, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, so right now your sizes are what? You have
we do 8 and 12.
Yeah. And so 8 is the squat one, right? Like that fits the same lid. Yeah. And that's my most, that's the cup I sell the most of. And I think.
And so to me, that's a flat white.
Yeah. So that's probably why then. The least amount of coffee, I'm sure, with like that.
And because people have this misconception of, give me the biggest cup you have. And if you're talking about drip coffee, well, of course, the biggest cup you have is the most, you're getting more caffeine.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about espresso, the bigger the cup, it's just more diluted.
Exactly.
So it's actually, if you want a caffeine hit, you want to ask me my smallest cup.
Yeah.
that's what's going to get you going. So
that's pretty funny.
But
yeah,
that's
straight to
a
the
big
point.
misconception for,
Yeah, I mean, if you go to Venice right now, some of those biggest shops are all Australian owned.
Yeah, Great White.
Great White.
I love the breakfast there.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, I had
See, breakfast. Australians do breakfast.
Really?
Oh.
Like, but I'm thinking not pancakes and stuff. Like eggs,
no, not
bacon,
so much. Like poached eggs, grilled halloumi cheese.
If you hear it in her voice, she's going to Australia soon, and she's very excited.
I haven't been in 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Your son's never been there.
He's never met
Super
his
excited.
family yet.
So what part? I never asked you. What part of Australia are you from?
I'm from Burleigh Heads.
I know. If you don't say Sydney, I don't know where it is. So where
it's
is it?
North of Sydney.
Okay.
So it's pretty much everything in Australia is on the east coast.
Okay.
The Gold Coast is more or less halfway up.
Is it more of like a town or more like country?
It's actually very similar to Orange County. So the Gold Coast is a bunch of beach cities, and then Burleigh Heads is one of them. It's like Newport Beach within Orange County.
Do your parents still have that coffee shop, or are they?
They don't, but they had 2. So one was the Pantry, and then the other one was Connors. They're still there with those. Still have those names.
So we go
still
back
doing
and see
really
everything.
well.
When you go back, you're gonna go check them out.
Oh, I'll be walking past for sure.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for you, if you had to give advice to somebody, opening up a coffee shop, what would be one of the things that you would say, maybe a couple things that you would tell them as an advice standpoint, like, hey, be on the lookout for this. What would you think about this? Or like, is there anything that you would give someone to stand on and be like, hey, I really want this to be known to you before you jump into this? Is there any advice you could give somebody?
I mean, I would obviously say your first year, you will be living, breathing, dreaming, like your whole life.
Nightmares or dreams?
Yeah, that's
but
a
both,
good point.
right? Depends on the day.
Yeah. So yeah, you just have to be prepared to throw yourself completely into it. Yeah. And I think, if you want to be successful, you really do need to be in there. You need to listen to the feedback. You need to make the connections with the customers, like
point.
From the very beginning. Like, have your finger on the pulse in that way.
Is that hard for you to do sometimes? Just from an ego standpoint, meaning not that you have an ego, but that
you're
working so hard and you have to hear some
but it is funny too. Like, everyone will have an opinion. You don't.
You know what you gotta do.
Everyone's an expert.
Yeah.
So you pick and choose, obviously, but yeah, you just have to be there. You just have to have your ear to the ground and just kind of keep adjusting. And that's the thing too, is you have all these ideas before you open about how it's going to go, but you really don't know until the doors open. So we were pretty flexible from, like I said, I had the things that I wouldn't budge on, cup sizes. We had our sort of goal of what we wanted to achieve with the feel of the space and those sorts of things. But everything else was kind of flexible in terms of, I don't know what kind of food people are going to want yet. I don't know what my customer is looking for when they walk through the door. So it was that begin, and we tried different things throughout the first probably year, even first 2 years, different food options, and this will be perfect, and then it just didn't stick, So it was just about finding what worked. And for us, I think it was important to know, first and foremost, we're a coffee shop. we're making really good coffee. That is our focus. That's what I want my staff focused on. That's what we're mainly concerned with. So we don't have a kitchen. We're not trying to make juices on the side. We're not trying to, we are focusing on coffee and making incredible coffee, you know? And once you have that down pat, then maybe you have more bandwidth to go, okay, where can we increase the ticket item? Like, what are we missing here that, or what do people want to add on with that order? But first and foremost, we're a coffee shop. We're not a juice bar. We're not a smoothie bar. We're not a sandwich shop. We're a coffee shop. So it was just not losing, because when you try and do everything, you kind of do everything mediocrely, you know, or you can focus on one thing and do it really, really well.
Yeah, especially if that one thing is your thing.
Yeah.
You know, vacancy coffee. So it's so funny because that is you just knocked on something that is so big, because some people out of desperation of their business have to force themselves to do things outside of what they originally sought out to do, right? So meaning you might have to start doing sandwiches. You might have to start doing that stuff. But man, I'm telling you, I mean, look, I could bring here tomorrow 75 products that are outside of your world that, like, no, you could sell this, right? I mean, I've done it too in the past for sure. Yeah. I've brought some bad stuff in, but in perspective, I really believe that if you can, like you said, focus on what you guys do. I love how you said the other stuff can be almost like complimentary, right? So
exactly. Like on the weekend we have these burritos, and the Rooster Truck, LA. They make incredible burritos. Yeah. So
I had one today from another
shop. They deliver us our burrito. Like,
I
don't know. We don't know burritos. We know coffee. They know burritos. Perfect
partnership. Yeah, and the same thing probably with your coffee roast. I'm sure you get pitched all the time on coffee roasters coming in here. Private label this, blah, blah, blah. You could do this. And it's like, no, let the roasters roast.
Yeah.
You're going to sell.
That's not our wheelhouse.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone, I think, wants to do everything. And the problem is because the entrepreneurial aspect of what we're doing, it allow, like, our generation allows us to do everything. I told this to somebody exactly because but it's the problem because the people we grew up watching, like, you know what I mean? Like, I tell everyone, like, Jay-Z had like the clothing line and the music and the sports, and everyone's like, it's like, no, but he was a good rapper first. That's, you know what I mean? Like Michael Jordan, all these, everyone has everything, but it's like, no, they have to do one thing great first, you know?
That's exactly right.
And I really believe that you saying that about your shop, it really does show, like, no, it's a coffee shop. But on the weekends you can get burritos and that stuff. And I think that's an awesome thing. So last two things, the standpoint, I want to ask about social media. Do you feel pressure with social media? I know you guys have a really good marketing. I feel like you guys are very consistent. You guys changed your logo recently, and it made so much sense. It felt so right. Yeah. But do you feel ever pressure with keeping up on that? Is that something you think about, or is like, I know some shops get freaked out about that?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not I wouldn't say I'm good with social media. Like, I'm on social media. I'm one of those silent social media people. Like, I don't post very often.
See everything, but don't make a lot of noise.
But I see the value in it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's free marketing, and if you utilize it right, then it can
you get pushes from it. Do people say, like, oh, I saw it on Instagram?
Absolutely.
Like,
and you talk about these people, that go on coffee crawls and do all these things. It's that's how they find you.
Yeah,
they're like, where's that place with the cool yellow mural in the back? I want to go take my photo there.
They know everything before they walk in. They know everything.
They're like, I know where I can get my shot. I know where I'm gonna. So I mean, awesome. That's the world we live in now. That in this day and age, you have to be a part of it.
OC Coffee Culture, Riley. I don't know if you're married. She's going to be on my show tomorrow. So we're doing, so and kind of talking it because she's a huge. I mean, what she's done from even a sales standpoint. Yeah, it's crazy. Like for us as salespeople, we're watching everything she does. Right. Yeah. My whole team follows her. Yeah. And but on top of that, like creating this buzz for you guys at shops is really cool. Sweet. Okay, and then pricing. Everyone's freaking out about pricing. Yeah, everyone's there. I hate it. It's terrible. Like, I don't, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Okay. Any consulting I've done, when I speak, I've spoke at Coffee Fest, did seminars there. I believe that when I'm walking into a coffee shop in Newport Beach, me and my wife, my son's allergic to everything, so he doesn't really eat anything. Yeah. But when I walk in, I'm going to spend $25. I just know that going in. On a Saturday here with a burrito that we might split, maybe a pastry, 2 drinks, I'm thinking $25, $30 with tip. Do you have pushback at all from your customers with this? If you raise your pricing tomorrow, do you have people complaining about it? Maybe locals that know it?
Not really. I hate raising prices.
I know. We've talked about this.
Yeah. And I mean, we've been open for nearly 5 years. I think we did one little price raise. Yeah. A year or more ago,
because I'm looking at your menu and the price. It's like,
but it's still pretty low.
If I was consulting with you, I would tell you that you should have gone higher.
I know that's our menu is already printed. Like, maybe I should. Yeah, so we may have to reprint in the next.
That's okay.
6 months.
It's easy to print.
But it's hard. And I mean, obviously...
But why is it hard? What makes it so
It's
hard?
hard because, I mean, you have your customer that comes in, they know what they budget and they spend on their coffee. And it
especially
feels
regulars.
Really, it sucks, you know, to have to be like, oh, this thing that you get every day is now 50 cents, $1
But
more
you have
every
people
day.
pushing back. Have you ever had someone about to slide their card and they're like, wait a minute,
no,
what's going on?
not really. And see, that's the thing. I think that people are going to be
But no one
so
ever
bothered
does.
by it. But I mean, maybe that's to do with, you know, we're in Newport Beach, California. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you might have a little bit of a
And
advantage.
it depends. Yeah. So, but no, there hasn't been too much pushback.
I keep
with it.
talking to
and
my
especially
shops about
right
it.
now, people get it. People are, and it's not just in the coffee world. Prices are going up with everything
Well,
everywhere.
my prices
like
go
look
up.
at everyone. It's just a flow-on effect.
And Starbucks
you know?
just raised their pricing, which
Well,
set the
everyone
standard.
has to. So
Yeah.
cups cost more now, lids cost more now.
So people
sleeves
are
cost more now.
understanding.
They get it. When it happens, they're like, oh, well, we were wondering when that was going to happen.
Okay,
It's
so
not-
Bonnie's
it's not a
pricing is going up in
surprise.
June, guys. We're bringing to raise the pricing. I mean, it's tough because I think people don't. This is a time where everyone's like, okay, we get it. Like we had to raise our pricing for everybody,
Yeah.
you know, and we didn't get any real
Yeah.
complaints about it because people were like, yeah, we get it.
We get it.
You know,
but and it's just, you know, even COVID aside, like your cost of wages goes up every year.
Yep.
Our rent goes up pretty much every year.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, electricity, everything. You know, so it's you have to do it, but it's just not a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But I think, you know, some people, you know, you worry that they just see it as, oh, it's just. You're just being greedy, or it's a cash, or you're trying to get more money, or but you know, it's not
never-
really. It's like, well, I've absorbed all these price raises for the past 3 years, and now I finally have to, you know, pass on some of the extra expense. You know?
I was in a meeting before I was with you, and I was talking with this person, and they were like, it was a price meeting, you know, about costs and everything. And I go, listen, I only raise my price when my price goes up. Like,
That's
it's not
right.
like me trying to get an extra buck.
No,
It is what
like,
it is.
oh,
It's
I'd
life.
like, I'd like $5 a
We
cup
all have a
more.
margin we
Yeah,
have to hit, you know?
Exactly.
And the thing with coffee is so funny is that you can break down, like, how much did your cup cost? How much did your straw cost? How much that? And it's like, the margins are great in coffee. We all know that, you know? And so in the meeting, you know, it's like playing poker back and forth. I'm being very transparent, but my customer basically said was like, oh yeah, I got this going up, so I'm gonna have to charge more. I go, oh, that's interesting. So your price is going up and you're charging more? I said, wow, that sounds familiar. You know? So it's like, if you're understanding, we're all gonna get through it together, right? So it's really fun. So okay, what's your vision? What do you think? Are you happy where you're at? You think number 2 ever? I know we talked earlier about it. You think like, is there ever talks of it?
I mean, yeah, super happy with Vacancy right now where it's at. As you mentioned, we did our new sort of rebrand. And
looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks terrific. Ty Williams is an incredible artist. He did our new logo and all those things. So we're super happy with it. As I said to you when we first opened, it was kind of with caution, and we don't know if it's going to work in this spot and this and that and the other. So we just opened very simply, and then I feel like over the past 5 years we've continued to evolve, and now we're finally what we wanted to be, if that makes sense.
It's crazy, 5 years of that. So I mean, just kind of putting that hard work in and kind of seeing
and I feel like
down.
we're just finally like, okay, like this is what I like maybe envisaged that I would want us to become, and you know.
But does that feel like you're on the
done
top of the staircase and then there's nowhere else to go, or do you feel like there's a road that you're going to go down?
A little bit. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, I have a son that's keeping my life pretty busy. I don't know. Yeah, watch this space. We definitely don't want to just coast along. We'll keep kind of looking and seeing, you know, where chances are to evolve.
Whoa, that's big. Breaking news. Sounds like number 2's coming.
Well, so here's the thing, and it's funny. Americans really seem to love to franchise. Australians don't really do that. I mean, obviously we have some franchises, but
you're saying franchise is not like me buying into a vacancy. You're saying franchise like multiple locations.
Multiple locations with the same name.
Yeah. Okay.
So whereas in Australia, obviously we have, you know, hospitality business owners that will open multiple locations, but they'll very rarely have the same name.
Oh, so like your parents with two different shops,
but different names. And you'll know like, oh, the people that started, you know, Hellenica, like, are opening this place. So
that's cool.
But it's a totally different place.
So almost like a new vision. So if there was to be something, you don't see it as vacancy 2 as much as you see it as
vacancy 2. And that's like we touched on before. There can't be another vacancy.
I don't think so.
This spot is unique. It was called Vacancy because we said, you know, if there's ever a vacancy there, we know what we want to go into it. So nowhere else will ever be that. So I think if we did ever open another spot, and it would be again all about the location. So you know, there was last year there was a spot we thought, oh, like maybe, if that could work, but it didn't end up coming through. So
if it happens, it happens, just like how this one happened.
Yeah, just like how this one happened. We're certainly not like actively kind of, going after it right now, but if the right location popped up, then never say never. But yeah, I don't think it would be vacancy.
That's pretty cool.
It would
I like
be
that.
something else. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Bonnie, I appreciate it. Always appreciate it.
You.
Me and Bonnie have been doing this for
nice
a while. So great. If you were a coffee drink, what coffee drink would you be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm a typical Australian where I do love a flat white.
There you go. That's the drink. Every time I have coffee with Australian.
Post baby, I've been more of a latte person, just to the illusion of it lasting a little longer.
Yeah.
But on a hot summer's day, we do an iced maple latte here, and it's just the taste of
you.
summer.
Yeah.
I've got an iced maple cortado right now.
That is so awesome. Thank you for letting us in your shop. I love what we're seeing here is this view. Your shop's amazing. All the background noises because we're literally in the middle of her coffee shop. It's so awesome. Bonnie, thank you so much. Your Instagram is what is it? Vacancy Coffee?
Vacancy_coffee.
Vacancy_coffee. All right. Bonnie Williams, thank you so much for having us here, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.